Blog Talk Radio.
Here at ACO Radio, American Communications Online, or any affiliated stations or websites are not responsible for what guest hosts or call-ins may say. All programming is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only.
Hello? Greetings. Hello?
Oh, my gosh. What happened? It turned me off and you off. Okay. I don't know if we have to start all over or what. Did you get kicked off, Richard, or what happened?
I don't know. It was dead air. And I've called back, and it's now we should be on the air right now.
Okay.
Because music played.
Okay, good. If the music played, yeah, we're live and on the air. Okay, fine. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden you were on the radio screen in the studio in New York, and then you weren't. And is Marci on? Somebody else is here. They called in.
I don't know.
It's all ones. Anybody else calling
Someone's
into the show?
Skyping us.
Hello, you're live and on the air. You want to let us know who you are? Somebody called in round table. If it's Marci, you'll have to call back in on your home, on your cell phone, 347-945-7207, because you're not showing up. All right, Richard, back to you on the round table today. Now, Wednesday is Ascension Masters round table, and we are your Ascension Masters for the day. I am Theresa J. Mars with Richard T. Knight, and we're going to have Marci Kosich call in and help us too. She's our toning expert, but that's been around thousands of years, and they made all those old churches intentionally, and I can explain all that to you in metaphysical terms, and the fluids that go up inside your cranium and inside your cerebellum and around your medulla oblongata, and Hawaii, we call that the Christ, and every 24 hours, and then every month. We're all on cycles. But Richard, go ahead and introduce yourself, and hopefully we won't all get kicked off again. I don't know who did it or what did it, but I apologize, folks. This doesn't sound perfectly in sync based on 1, 2, 3, but you know what? Fifth Dimension isn't about that anymore anyway, but we're going to do our best to make sense today. Richard T. Knight, I know that people know who you are in some circles. How would you say you are Richard T. Knight with us since February?
Oh, well, I'm Pastor Rich for the Ascension Church Ohana, which, of course, Ohana is a Hawaiian word for family gathering. And in addition to that, I wear hundreds of hats. I'm very well educated, hopefully eloquently spoken, at least part of the time. I have doctorates in theology, divinity, religious science, and metaphysics. And of course, today we normally gather around to discuss metaphysics, which is the humongous umbrella that covers everything that's paranormal, supernatural, and everything else under the sun, basically speaking. So I am a colleague with Miss Theresa J. Morris, and she and I have founded the Ascension Church Ohana, and we're coming to you live, and it's boots on the ground, and that's pretty much where we're at. I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to discuss things. I'm here to delve into topics of major and minor interests and so forth. That's me in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, folks, I have American Communications Online as my main company, and with that I have brands for different companies and are doing business as we say in the world. But with Richard and I, we are going to hopefully keep meeting and having a round table so we can connect you to our journal as well if you're interested in any of our topics, and we will delve into them. And some people may be calling in from Canada and otherwise, so I apologize if I embarrassed you and put you on the air, but I was expecting Marci Kosich to call in and have to remind her to call in and use her cell phone. So, folks, we've got the simplest setup you could possibly imagine for our people that want to call in, and they prefer us to do psychic readings so they can be part of the shows, which I guess we'll do on Thursdays and possibly Saturdays. But for today, it is Metaphysical Institute, and we are going to be setting up a journal for our whole life and what we call health and wellness. But basically, I want to market the words what we call integrative medicine now. And I have not briefed Richard on any of this, and this is just coming to us to have a roundtable discussion. Now, what we're going to do is have a conversation. We're not reading off of script. And we are training because in our group, the original Psychic Awakening classes and the Invisible College and the Ascended Masters, they have taught us many things, and they've been checking in on us lately. So I have some Ascension Masters that I'm starting to meet and show themselves. And now let me read you a little bit about the Ascension. No, excuse me. Richard's going to have to help me between the Ascension and I wrote books on Ascension, so people are starting to find those. So we're going to teach what I teach. But let me just tell you about, since Easter, the Ascended Masters have been checking on their spokespeople, I guess one might say, the Ascended Masters and who they are. So I'm going to do everybody a favor and try not to be biased in Theosophy and go to Ascended Masters. So, Richard, if you don't mind, it's short. May I read this to just help people generically listening to us to know what the Ascended Masters are using unbiased?
I guess.
I think Wikipedia, because of the way that all the people, and I do pay a little money every year into Wikipedia, but this will give you a little better understanding of esoterics. But the Ascended Masters is Ascended Master teachings of a number of movements, movements in the Theosophical tradition. So they're believed to be spiritually enlightened beings who in past incarnations were ordinary humans, but who have undergone a series of spiritual transformations, originally called initiations. Now, both Mahatma, if you remember, when I was a kid, it was rice. I know. So a lot of you may, Mahatma, watermelon. Anyway, both Mahatma and Ascended Master are terms used in the Ascended Master teachings. So Ascended Master is based on the Theosophical concept of the Mahatma, are masters of the ancient wisdom. However, Mahatmas and Ascended Masters are believed some to differ in certain respects. According to the Ascended Master teachings, a master, in quotes, commoner, in quotes, shaman, in quotes, our spiritual master, in quotes, is a human being who has taken the fifth initiation and is thereby capable of dwelling in the fifth dimension. Now, the teachings hold that an ascended master, in quotes, is a human being who has taken the sixth initiation, also referred to as ascension, and is thereby believed to be capable of dwelling in the sixth dimension. The term, in quotes, ascended master, was first used by Baird T. Spalding in 1924 in his series of books, Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East by Divorce and Company, Godfire Ray King by Guy Ballard, and further popularized this concept of spiritual masters who had once lived on the earth in his book, Unveiled Mysteries. So today for ACE Metaphysical Institute, we'll be discussing Theosophy and the Ascended Masters and the origins, because we are also ACE Folklife Society for Art, Culture, and Education. So we have archivists and historians. And the origins of the original Theosophical Society was Helena Blavatsky in the 19th century. And she actually brought attention to the secret initiatory knowledge by claiming her basis, her ideas actually were based on the traditions taught to her by her group of highly enlightened yogis, which she called the Mahatmas, or masters of the ancient wisdom. So these Mahatmas, she claimed, were physical beings living in the Himalayas, and that they usually understood as Tibet. Now, I have some knowledge of all of that, and being that I've got past lives in Tibet, but now I'm going to turn it over to Richard to give you his best understanding, because he's done the best he could keep up with universal life living as a universal life pastor and being in the I Am presence, which they also adhere to as the Ascended Master teachings, which they use the individualized presence of the most living God and mighty, called the I Am presence of the essence of the natural and nature's God, and God as life and love manifest, and the 7 octaves of the created universes through individual divine identities. Now, we've got some YouTubes out there with the 7 levels and the 7 colors that we'll be putting teams together on the several universal levels that embody individuals, and they have the outer expression of the God self in form, and they say it's our unique and immortal true identity. You're always sharing in the allness of the one God. So a characteristic of the students of these Ascended Master teachings is the use of God's creative name, in quotes, I am. So that decree has various affirmations to invoke, how the forth of light of God comes, the blessing of life, the perfect divine solution, and the magic presence. And there's a whole thing that we can maybe read later if Richard wants. But I think that's enough of sharing from Wikipedia, letting you know that that's just unbiased, and we use this in cyberspace culture. So, Richard, I don't see Marci. Maybe she come on, maybe she won't. But the round table is
losing you.
It's back to you, Richard. Nobody else.
All right.
Here.
Well, I would add on the subject, a very well-known book that has probably been in publication since 1940. It was written by Manly P. Hall, and it is called The Secret Wisdom of All Ages. And this was a rather thick book of probably about 400 pages. It was published by a press that is now known as Red Dragon, where originally it used to be by another name, which I don't happen to recall at the moment. But anyway, the secret teachings are all universal truths, and they were spread around by ancient ones, or those who presided in Shambhala, and which is located somewhere near Tibet. And basically, an ascended master is one that may or may not have been physically incarnated. Those who physically incarnated allegedly had possibly hundreds of lives or even thousands of lives in which they became compassionate and merciful beings, and therefore by understanding the true hidden wisdom of the ancients, they basically ascended in form and therefore were divinely gifted with all kinds of supernatural abilities and also all kinds of paranormal abilities, or what we would look upon now as paranormal abilities, and also, of course, psychic abilities as well. So anyway, Manly P. Hall, of course, he goes into a diverse number of topics and a diverse number of histories in regards to culture and traditions and so on and so forth. And it's a very, very good book. I highly recommend it. Of course, it may or may not be out of print at the moment. But anyway, to bring things down, okay, the Ascended Masters, there are those that actually never actually incarnated as human beings at all, and they are the gifted ones, and they reside somewhere either between the 6th and the 8th dimensions, and basically they are bodhisattvas, and they are altruistic individuals that are here to assist mankind as mankind attempts for now it's either the third or the fourth final time in their ascension process. I refer, of course, to the ages of the Kali Yuga, which is Hindu mysticism practice, and basically it betolls 50,000 years in a span, and previously mankind has reached this epic turning point where basically they were remanded by divine source of all whether to make a choice as to whether they were going to ascend into the 5th dimension or if in fact they were going to remain in the 3rd. And on previous occasions they had chose to remain in the 3rd. Now, of course, please understand that everyone is in the right place under divine plan and under divine timing through the source of all, which created us all in the first place. So you never sit in judgment of anyone and say, well, you're a bad person because you're residing in 3D and you do not want to move forward. It may be that given individual has many lessons yet to learn in 3D, and therefore that is the reason of their understanding, and that is as to where they are at and where they need to progress to next. Those of us who have in fact chosen to live in the 5D are already in the process of transiting to that particular pinnacle point or dimension, or have already transpired there all the way. It's interesting that, of course, when we go talking about dimensions themselves, the only difference or separation between dimensions is both frequency and vibration. So when you start talking music and you start talking colors, again, you are talking frequency and vibration. And, of course, the ancient wisdom, of course, teaches that sound is a very, very important thing in regards to being able to change and being able to summons and being able to evoke and invoke, and all of these various principles of magic, which, of course, is, again, an illustrious science that has been around for thousands and thousands of years and practiced in all kinds of traditions all over the world as mankind has progressed as a race in all of these various locations all around the world to get to where we are now. So an ascended master is one that is basically an enlightened or illumined being. And such examples would be, of course, Christ, who was the divine Son of God incarnate. His illumined message was that, you could come and join the source of God through his teachings and through the mercy and compassion of his heart. Then, of course, you have Saint Germain, and Saint Germain is the keeper of the violet flame. And Saint Germain's violet flame is well known because it is the source of transformation as well as transmutation. And the difference between the two is one affects the formative body, and the other one is the process by which the various forms are actually established by transmuting from one form into another. So, that being said, there are a great many other ascended masters. All of the great teachers and prophets down through the ages it has been said that in fact they are, ascended masters. Of course, then we also have saints in the Christian tradition, and we have, like Theresa was sharing, Mahatmas or ascended ones in Tibet and other places. And they have the ability, basically, I guess you could say, to have direct link or direct conscious awareness of God consciousness. So in other words, it's like they are illumined because they are constantly in the stream of God's awareness. And so because of that, that separates them and certainly sends them apart from a regular average human being. Most, of course, the saints and others were proclaimed saints after they were dead or had already transited onto the other side. So they were posthumously appointed saints. There have been a few in recent history that, in fact, were declared saints while they were still alive. Mother Theresa was one such person who gave her life to charity in Africa. Gandhi was considered at least an illumined being, or at least an illumined philosopher per se, simply because of his strides and his Nobel Prize for Peace on a global consideration. And there have been all kinds of various illuminaries from all kinds of different traditions and all kinds of different cultures. And again, they are all considered ascended masters. Now, we need to understand that the base practice in attuning oneself to one higher self, or one gaining spiritual consciousness or spiritual awareness of their true physical, their true spiritual being, is that's of meditation. Okay, so in other words, it's when one shuts down the outward senses and quiets the mind from all of the conversations that we have within our own minds, and of course slows down our attention span and refocuses it from outside of us to being inward towards us, we discover that we have many attunements and many gifts, and that we are a whole lot greater being than we have ever been programmed or conditioned to believe that we are. Because naturally, when we come into this world, we accept ourselves as physical beings living in a human world, when in actuality we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So, with that said, of course, that expands out in all different directions. We have the psychic senses, which have been greatly studied and greatly written about, and there have been many people that have come forth that have, in fact, been scientifically tested and proven in so many different ways to actually be gifted psychically. And everyone has these gifts. The question is whether you wish to give yourself permission to develop such gifts or not. And so the same is also true with the path of ascension. Now, of course, a prophecy has already been in the process of fulfilling, and that is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And with the age of Aquarius also enters into the fifth dimension. And of course, on prior conversations, we distinguished the third dimension as being the human reality and material world that we each live in and we each participate in on a daily basis. The fourth is transitory station or dimension through which our vibration raises, our consciousness expands to a certain extent, and that in turn we are more well aware of the greater picture of life and existence, not only here on Earth, but also in our galaxy and outwardly in our cosmos and into our universes and all of that kind of thing. And again, it is through stillness that one achieves pure knowledge, or what is spoken of as inner knowing, so that one arrives at a state of being where all they have to do is ask a question, and the question is instantaneously answered. And I would presume that the one answering the question is either their higher self, an ascended master, or even the source of us all, that being God themselves as well. So you transit through the fourth dimension, and you're raising your vibration and you're raising your frequency. Now, you have to understand that while all this is going on, Mother Earth, or Gaia, has been doing the same thing, because she finally got to a point where she said, no, I am not going to allow myself to become encumbered in such a manner that the harmony of my planet, or my outward self, has become plagued by all kinds of imbalances, such as the atmosphere, such as plant life and tree life and the forests and the oceans that cover her, and all of the mining and all of the stripping away of the rainforests, and all of these various things have all set Mother Nature into an imbalance to a large extent. And that's why you see a greater encompassment of tornadoes and hurricanes and volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis. These are all attempts or reminders or even warnings, one could say, that the earth is dissatisfied with what man is doing to the earth as the stewards of the earth. So therefore, you could say, in a manner of speaking, a dual timeline has been created. In other words, it's not that this 3D earth has completely ceased to exist. What has happened is a 5D earth has been simultaneously created alongside it. And the reason that most people don't understand or feel it is because it's in the fifth dimension. So you have to expand beyond the fourth dimension and get into the fifth dimension. And the fifth dimension, of course, allows you to have all kinds of spiritual powers and to live life spiritually on a far higher frequency and level than we do currently in our materialistic world. So that gives a brief synopsis of what frequencies, vibrations, and dimensions are. Of course, there is no telling exactly how many they are. When I was last briefed or given to understand, I was beholding 28 of them. But there could be thousands for all I know. You know, I mean, I only offer what little knowledge that I have based upon experience and gained wisdom over many, many paths and many, many lifetimes and many, many traditions, initiations, and so forth. And of course, there are lots of wisdom schools out and about. And again, even the wisdom schools have been predicting that, yes, mankind is going to come to a gap, what you would call. In other words, 3D is going to get up to like X point, and it will no longer be able to go forward past that point, because past that point will be the fourth dimension, and past that point will be the fifth dimension. And this is the true understanding of the Aztec calendar, because the Aztec calendar predicted that mankind would cease as they then were. Okay? So when we started entering into 2010 and beyond, we were rewriting our entire reality in a manner of speaking. Now, of course, you have to understand, once again, that we are multidimensional spiritual beings of energetic consciousness. We are unlimited in form, and we are unlimited in understanding, we are unlimited in knowledge, and we are unlimited in regards to having freedom. Okay? Now, when our spiritual essence decides to encompass itself with a human body, or a carbon-based unit, as Theresa loves to put it, then in turn, of course, most people oftentimes forget who they are and why they are here, or where they came from, or any of that. Now, I fortunately had the good grace or the good gift or what have you, that when I came into this life, I was very much aware of who I was and where I came from and all this. And, of course, because of early on traumas in my early childhood, that was exactly why I retained that knowledge, so that in turn, in times of crises, despair, and, you know, things of that nature, I could cling directly to Mother and Father God, and they more or less were my parents, and they schooled me and helped me to understand that even though I'm in a physical reality, I am not completely affected by that physical reality. Now, yes, I have a human body just as much as you do, okay? And yes, I have limitations in the physical. However, I can also do a great many things in the physical body that a lot of people cannot. And again, it's simply because you have not given yourself permission to do so, okay? None of us are greater, none of us are lesser. I mean, I'm just as much a student as a teacher, you know, and I don't, you know, I wouldn't be at all surprised if I'm not currently already being schooled as it is, because I have a lot of catching up to do, and it seems to be that that's always the case, okay? One can never, ever quench the thirst for knowledge. One can never become so wise that they don't understand, that they have a complete and total understanding of all of creation on all of its multi-levels and multiple universes and multiple dimensions and multiple beings. throughout creation, because creation is a very, very humongous place. It is just, it stretches far beyond our wildest imagination. Now, of course, we also have to understand that since we are these spiritual beings first, that we also come in as guided and protected in a lot of ways. In other words, some would say that you have a guardian angel. Others would say that you have a healing team. Others would say that, you have your higher self, which is like the go-between between the pure essence of your spirit and your physical, mental acuity in regards to your physical awareness and conscious mind in your mental self here while you're a human being. So, with all this said, that just says that yes, you are to put spirit first and humanity or your human self second. So you build our human selves, build our world around our relatives, such as our parents, our siblings, our grandparents, uncles and aunts, and all these folks. Well, they all contribute energy and share an energy on an emotional and mental level with us, so that in turn we create a world that is contributed by them and yet created by us. And the same is true outwardly when you create a job that you want to do, or rather you are proposed a job that you want to fulfill, as is most cases. Those interactions and that all creates a part of your world. And then in turn, if you want to become educated, again, that becomes a part of your world. And if you want to get into counseling, or you want to get into exploring anything, whether it be sports or whether it be anything that's out here in our world, okay? If you want to explore any of it, that then in turn plays a part in your self-created world. And then, of course, you would say outside of that is the mass consciousness of our entire race. So we share a consciousness on a race level, and it is that consciousness on a race level that has provided the energy to create all that we see around us. In other words, all of the houses and all the buildings and the cars and the trucks and the airplanes, all of these things have been created by mankind as a human conscious or a race level. All right? So we have our own individual world, and that individual world in turn is transpiring outwardly with the world that is focused around us by the entirety of our consciousness as a race. And so then in turn, you step out of the 3D world, which is our material existence, which is what I've just described to you, all right, and into the fourth dimension, and therefore you raise your vibration and you raise your essence and you raise your amount of awareness and you expand your consciousness and you become more and more aware and more in sync with the spiritual essence that is the authentic you that is housed within this human body, and not purely just a human body with an ego and a personality and a consciousness per se and awareness within the realm of material experience anyway. So anyway, the fourth dimension, like I said, is an expansion of your awareness, and yes, your vibration does rise to a certain extent, and of course your frequency also rises to a certain extent. Then you transit into the fifth dimension. And I keep returning us to the fifth dimension simply because, in a manner of speaking, we're already there. Okay? All of this prophecy is already in the process of being fulfilled. So you could say that Gaia, Mother Earth, has already created an Earth that is similar to what actually transpired or was in existence back at the time, however long ago the Garden of Eden was, as a reference, okay? In other words, completely an ecosystem untouched or unscathed by man. The beings that walked the earth at that time were innocent and naive to an extent, in the fact being that they were not overwhelmed by all that surrounded them, okay? And so as a result, they were more spiritual in essence, and it was very familiar for them to hear the voice of God and to have conversations with God one-on-one. So, this being the case, this is already in existence in the fifth dimension. So what's going to happen probably over the next 100 years, because all of these cycles and all of these changes take a good while to transpire, all right? And again, I emphasize, no one is ever left behind per se, because everyone is in the right place at the right time for their path or journey of spirituality, okay? So, as a human being, of course, we all run our journey in our paths, and we all go through all kinds of trauma, and we all go through all kinds of suffering, and we go through all kinds of experience, and we all kinds of joy, and all kinds of ecstasy, and all kinds of bliss, and all kinds of points of aha moments, and deja vu, and all of these various things, and that all encompasses us pretty much as a human being, other than, like I said, exploring all that we can encumber as a mass consciousness as the race of man. And when you talk about that, that's quite a bit of knowledge in and of itself. But when you achieve your vibratory frequency rate to the fourth dimension, then in turn you have expanded your awareness. When you move into the fifth dimension, your awareness is expanded even more, and your vibratory rate and frequency have expanded or moved on even further. Okay? I'm not absolutely certain, other than to say that by the time, if you manage to reach the seventh dimension and you still are physically incarnate, you are on the same level as those that have passed over into what we preconceive as heaven, or the other side, or Valhalla, or the Elysium, and so on and so forth, many, many other places. But basically the point is that they exist in a realm that has no direct connection between our material world and their world. Yet at the same time, you have to understand that no one really dies, because there is no such thing as death to that which is immortal. Okay, we are mortal beings, so therefore our bodies can die in that they, become encumbered with disease, or they age out, or, some unfortunate accident or trauma or tragedy happens to befall them, or, basically you could say, in a manner of speaking, God calls you home. When God calls you home, you do in fact transit to the seventh dimension, okay? So all of these beings and loved ones that have left us behind or gone away from us, in fact, are not very far from us at all. They have only ascended from the expectation that they have transited through one frequency vibration to another frequency vibration to another frequency vibration until they arrived at the seventh dimension, which of course is 4 dimensions removed from our everyday experience, which is why, unless of course you have given yourself permission to see spirits and to have dialogue with spiritual entities and to listen to ascended masters and be counseled by all those who are of other dimensions, they are going to appear to be non-existent to you. However, I assure you that if you sit here and you begin a dialogue with your mom or your dad or your loved ones, such as your husband or your wife, or any siblings or even children that have passed over to the seventh dimension, rest assured that they hear you in the expression of the sentiment and your emotion that you're expressing towards them. And that's in turn, okay, they not only hear you, but they also see you, and they can even take a role of watching over you from the moment they pass into the seventh dimension until they come back round, basically speaking. In other words, I believe that in the seventh dimension we review all that we have done and all that we have been through in the life that we just experienced here on Earth. And then we must in turn make a decision as to whether or not we need to come back again to learn more things or experience more things, or if in fact we are going to be free from the Earth or no longer committed as a human or carbon-based unit. If that's the case, then you would basically be a spiritual entity, and you could become someone's guardian angel. You could become someone's spirit guide. You could become, if you so chose, after a great deal of learning and a great deal of transition, you could become an ascended master, or you could become a bodhisattva, or you could become an avatar. All of these are labels of enlightened beings that have far more abilities than would be considered the norm or dwelling within the regular physical world. So, to say that we have already ascended is, of course, a play on words, because we're still in the process. And we're going to be in the process for at least probably another 100 years, maybe less, maybe more. It all depends on the given individual, because we are each unique individuals traveling upon a spiritual journey, and our spiritual journey determines when we go home or when we raise our frequency and vibrations, to the extent that in turn we transit from the third dimension into the fourth dimension, into the fifth dimension, and possibly even in the seventh dimension. Now, I'm not absolutely certain as to whether or not beings in the seventh dimension actually walk upon the earth at the same time residing in the seventh dimension. I would believe that anything and everything is possible simply because, there are saints that are sighted. There's the Holy Mother, the Virgin Mary is sighted in the clouds and sighted at times to walk among men. There is Christ, of course, sighted, and at times Christ is sighted to walk among men. And, of course, there is various other saints and various other ascended masters who actually do corporeally, for the most part, actually energetically form a body so that they can be perceived by those of us still mulling around in our 3D corporeal selves and actually converse with us and give us knowledge and wisdom and insights and all that kind of stuff. To say that we are in the Ascension age is an absolute must, okay? Simply because we have decided as a human race, at least to some extent, that this is in fact the uppermost desire or the uppermost wish we wish to fulfill. And as a result of that, then in turn, we're going to transit there. And so you could say that, that there's a humongous train that is going through all the things that, that is going through our entire world. And, of course, everybody's being welcomed aboard. And as they get aboard, they're transiting into the fourth and then in turn the fifth dimension. And who knows? The train I'm sure, would have the destination of the fifth dimension. But then in turn, the train may go on into the sixth and the seventh dimension for all I know. But you see, we are only limited by our own aspects of limitation. In other words, once we decree that we have set an obstacle before ourselves and that we cannot overcome that obstacle becomes so tantamount that you cannot overcome it. Whereas if you also go out from the aspect or perspective and say, well, okay, I understand that this obstacle is here before me, but I'm either going to go around it, through it, over it, or under it, then I assure you, you will go through that obstacle, and that obstacle will melt away and will no longer be an obstacle. Okay? The same is true with mindset in regards to our physicality. Okay? If you want to come at things from a positive perspective, then you can expect positive repercussions and positive events and positive synchronicities and all kinds of this nature to just come flowing towards you. Whereas if you're negative and you're always being counterproductive and you're being very negative towards yourself and others, then again, you can expect to encounter nothing but negative events. So, and again, this is a transition process, okay? All of us get inundated by all kinds of negativity from all different kinds of perspectives, and we get overwhelmed at times by trauma and, tragic occurrences and all this kind of thing, and it takes a bit of time to recover. So at first you may start out as not necessarily negative, but not necessarily positive, but somewhere kind of in the middle. And then you get swayed or pulled back and forth like a pendulum into either the more positive or either the more negative, until finally you find a balance between the two and you stride along in the middle. And this is what we call the observer, okay? Because the observer is neither moved by the greatly positive nor moved by the greatly negative. Instead, they are not swayed in either way, because everything that they see going on around them actually comes at them like a movie screen. In other words, they see themselves acting as an actor on a stage, or interacting with other persons, and other persons interacting in situations and all kinds of things of that nature, interacting with them. But at the same time, they are not severely impressed, emotionally moved, or mentally stirred to necessarily react to that given circumstance. Instead, they have an optimal choice as to whether they will react, and if so, to what degree. And that's what I call the observer. So, if you are swayed more towards a positive mindset, and you are constantly thinking positive thoughts, and you have just said that instead of seeing a glass half full, you now see, or a glass half empty, you now see it as half full, and instead of seeing people as being possibly, negative or possibly having some kind of hidden agenda towards you or something, if you look at everyone as positive and give them the benefit of the doubt as having good within them, then again, you see, that is a more positive outlook. And the more positive outlook you can transit into, the better your life will become, because you are soliciting vibrations and frequencies from the universe of a higher origin. And the higher the frequency and vibration, the better the circumstance and the better the situation comes forward unto you. So that's where we're at. We're in the Ascension age. And Theresa and I have created, of course, the Ascension Church Ohana, which has thrown open its doors to everybody of any path, of any intellect, of any creed, of any tradition, including even extraterrestrials. Excuse me. So, of course, as a result of that, we are offering all kinds of different educations or different reminder sessions, one could say, because I like to think of it as, well, you know, I'm not really teaching someone, rather I'm bringing them to the awareness of something they already knew within themselves to begin with. And I would hope that that would also be true when I encounter my teachers and so forth, that they are raising an awareness within me of something that I already knew. Because instead of being brand new, it feels like it's very familiar, and because it's very familiar, there's little or no resistance to it. So that's the advantage of, you know, being familiar with something and not being familiar with something. And, of course, in turn, seeing something fully from your heart, your mind, and your spirit, or overanalyzing it and overthinking it to the extent that, you know, it may serve you in a good way, or it may serve you in a negative way, in which case it really doesn't serve you at all. So we are constantly juggling, you could say. We have positive events which affect us positively, and then we have negative events that affect us negatively, and then we kind of juggle between the two, because we don't want to be caught up in either scenario per se, and yet at the same time, when your vibration and frequency rises, you no longer differentiate between the negative and the positive, because your vibration and frequency sees all as simply the energetic interactions between energetic bodies, energetic selves, energetic frequencies, energetic vibrations. So it's like you're looking through a different set of spectacles, in a manner of speaking. You're seeing things from an entirely different perspective, and by seeing them in an entirely different perspective, you are awakening more and more to become your more authentic self, which of course is the multidimensional being of light and energy and consciousness that you truly are. Any comments, Theresa? Hello? Anyway, that's where things are at, and hopefully my co-host and colleague will be joining us here. There she is. All right.
I was talking to you, but I didn't realize I didn't only have you on mute on my phone, but I had you on mute on the board. Marci Kosich has joined us. So, Marci, would you like to introduce yourself? Hello? Can't hear her. Can you hear me, Richard?
Yeah, I hear you.
That's her number, 775-300, right?
Yeah.
There she goes. Were you on double mute too?
Yeah.
I have you on.
I think I had the phone away. No, what's the subject for today? I know Richard was talking about Ascension.
Metaphysical
expansion.
Yeah, we've got the Theosophy Ascension, Richard T. Knight, so I'll put you on here. The Ascension age that we're in now, let's see, let me read it to you, Marci. It says, Ascension Age Movement of American Communication Online sponsors ACE Metaphysical Institute. Wednesday is Ascension Masters Roundtable. Not Ascended, Ascension. We will conduct World Science webinars.
I got that part right.
Okay, Ascension, vibrations, sounds, pyramids, ancient cultures. We will begin speechcraft for divining crystal skulls and world science with Psychic University. Tracks for the future seminars, aliens, ET, cosmology, integrative medicine, ancient wisdom, new thought teachings. We share 7 levels of 7 universes as the sun of 25,900 years travels through the stars and the 12 signs of these zodiacs. honorary Ascension Masters support unconditional love and light. We are sharing divining and how to use 3D tools and resources. We support our baby boomers, veterans, spiritual science groups, and UAP associates. UAP Association will be asking for groups by state in the USA to recommend a spokesperson for our UAP Association directory. So anything in there, it sounds pyramids, whatever. So I'm going to mute, but you've got to introduce yourself because I don't. And Richard will do a round table. And the three of us started this round table. So I'm going to mute because I know all three of us will just confuse everybody. But I'm right here. Just give me a minute when you say, okay, TJ, we would like you to comment or something. I'm listening, but I'm going to mute. Go ahead,
Okay. Hi, my name is Marci. I work on energy. I do psychokinesis. I've written my book, Theta, which has to do with overcoming, like what Richard was talking about, all my blocks, all my negativity, all my fear, all my shame, all my guilt, to come into more of alignment and balance. The more we're in alignment, the more that Richard was talking about, we could be centered. And we could be one little notch off, and that will throw our energy off. So with these energies or dimensions, which is levels of consciousness, there are many dimensions. And so as we raise our frequency, we get more and more dimensions, we get more and more energies, we get more and more guides who will, it kind of like an energy, the way I look at like the Horton hears a who. So as Richard and I have been working together, we have been getting higher and higher guides and higher masters. So a lot of times we'll start conversations and then they'll know that we're talking, and with several of my other friends the same thing, where they'll come in and start doing tones, which I do tones through me. So we will get like Richard will say, old Aztec energies, high vibrational spaceships. They will hear the frequencies that's on the earth grid on who and what we are. So as we raise that tone, that sound, because we all have a soul sound, then it gets higher and higher. So that's part of the ascension, the energy. That's what Christ wanted to do. And it's the Christ consciousness. So they don't deal with religion. They deal with working through our energies to release old past lives, post-traumatic, energy, inner child. All these blocks and layers, they start off kind of like as we feel things, they're like black diamonds. As we suppress more and more, it gets more and more solidified to a certain part of the body, which causes disease, which is on the emotional and the mental level of our bodies. The photons is the light in our body. As we release this dark energy or heavy energy, then we get the crystalline energy. So that's a mouthful for right now. I don't know if Richard wants to comment on that at all, because he and I get in these heavy discussions on it.
True that, Marci. True that. But yeah, I mean that the base understanding is what everybody needs to grasp, because basically, like we said, it's a matter of choice, and it's a matter of calling. It's a matter of just deciding that this is something you want to undertake. And the cycles that we go through, the experiences that we've had, the releases that we release, just makes us lighter and lighter on an energetic basis, which in turn begins to activate, you could say, our spiritual DNA. Yeah. And all of this kind of thing. And we just get lighter and lighter until we transit from, our purely physical body to our mental body, to our etheric body, to our light body, to our diamond body. And then beyond that, of course, who knows? I don't know. I'm a wellspring of knowledge, but then again, there are lots of things that I would have to delve into, almost like an altered state of consciousness in order to expound upon. Marci?
Well, I was thinking about, like, metaphorically, because when I do energy work, because I was told when I was 21, I do psychokinesis. And then when I was 25, somebody did tones on me, and then I have now incorporated my clairaudience, my clairvoyance, my clairsentience, my tones, and the psychokinesis. And so as I continually work on myself, there was a taxi driver that would see me all the time at the casino. And they would go, you lost weight. We have physical weight. When I work on people with crystals, the crystal will get heavy. I would be the same weight physically, but you'll walk into a room and you'll feel like somebody has like a pigpen aura. You know, it's heavy. It's down. You get around them, you feel sucked energy as far as what's going on. As we raise our vibrations, and it's like with the moth, the flame, those negative energies or entities, they burn. They can't affect us. But if we have some type of dense energy with us, then it's almost like a mirroring that we do to them or they do to us of stuff we need to work through. Richard, they're back wanting me to do tones again. I got to finish my sentence this time. But it raises the vibration, and one of the people I worked on, she did trans-channeling Elohim. At that point, I never heard of Elohim, and now I work with them. And I said, what do the tones do? And they said, we help work out people's Akashic records. So the radio is a good conduit to help people release it. I have a YouTube channel under Marci Kosich. I have my book, Theta, under Amazon. So these are all tools as our spiritual journeys. Rich is in my book. I didn't know TJ at that point, but it's like us pulling all of our energies together and supporting each other and verifying each other and helping each other grow, because it's pretty intense sometimes.
Very true. So are these tones being directed at a given person? Are they being just directed outwardly to the audience? Or
well, we're not talking.
What feeling do you have?
We're not talking on the phone. So I think it's just directed to everybody, but when I do the tones, it usually does affect. So a lot of times, if you feel tingling, which is ascension, you'll feel lightheaded, which is more of our oxygen going into our body. The non-anaerobic is disease. It's the lack of oxygen. When people say, I'm fine, and they suppress more and more, the body breaks down. This stuff is like, it's like you go to a gym and you work out. This is kind of like an emotional weight loss compared to a physical weight loss. So people will feel lighter, they'll feel at peace, nothing will bother them as much because hormones and harmony go hand in hand. So when we get into what Richard was talking about before, that stillness, that's when we get visions, that's when we get ideas, and we get more at peace. All right, these are the Arcturians. So this time they announce themselves. Half the time, Richard, I don't know who's coming in. And the Arcturians are for healing energies. Now, is anybody calling in today, or are we just doing the round table today?
We're just doing the round table. We did think that someone had called in earlier, but I think they were on Skype and we couldn't. Either they couldn't hear us or they just chose not to participate. One of the two.
Okay. All right. Richard always tells me my high ones are for for your upper chakras. The lower ones are for the lower chakras. So I'm going to hit some low ones, and then if you feel, you might feel release, you might feel pain. These are subconscious inner child, past lives. Richard, you know more than I do on these. But you'll feel different things releasing. Are you hearing the sound on the phone, Richard?
Do what?
Are you hearing this? I'm hearing this on the phone. Like the energy's releasing.
Okay. I'm not sure. I mean,
don't worry about it. It's okay. I was just asking.
Well, hang on a second. Let me mute myself and all background noises surrounding me and see if that changes anything. I'll be back in a second.
Every time I do the tone, then some releases.
Well, true. But hang on just so we can verify that it's not any kind of background noise interfering in any way.
I had me on mute and my house on mute, but the TV, you knocked the TV back on, and my dog's ears are freaking out, but she just lies real comfortable, and her ears go up and down. But I figure it's good for pets, too. So, folks, it was funny because I was going to mention that. My dog had cancer like about 6 months ago. And the tones, if you do the 200 to 300,000 hertzes, it will dissipate the cancer. So my dog is fine now, but I worked on her. Animals love my tones. Yeah, she's real comfortable, but I've got to give her a haircut. She's a little Shih Tzu. They're real cute and fluffy. And if you cut their hair back, they can look like little teddy bears. But she's sitting right here in my lap. I've got a little blanket because I'm 69, but I'll be 70. So I like to do the old lady thing because I've earned all my white hair. So I'm sitting here listening to you. And now, the last time, it took me a while to get my TV right, to be honest with you, Marci, because your tones affect the internet. Because, see, my show and my phone is connected to MediaCom through the lines. And I can't do anything about it. I just know when you're around doing tones, wacko shit stuff happens.
TJ, I have a story for you.
What?
TJ, well, I was told a long time ago through Elohim that my frequency is so high. Richard and I know this, that technology can't handle it. I was doing a radio show and still friends with somebody, and we were doing it, and what happened was we were privately Skyping each other, and I blew out her webcam twice. So the next time I did her radio show, she goes, Marci, we're doing it by phone. It's rusty. It's like living and thriving. She won't let me do the Skype. But her radio show, and if you guys ever want to Google my Living and Thriving with Rusty, she's a great person, and I did a couple radio shows with her, and we're laughing about the webcam because it is. We blow circuits.
Well, I've noticed that when you come around, and, you did miss one or two, but basically since Richard's been around me in February, it seems like you've been pretty much available on Wednesday, except maybe the last one. All I know is my dog sits here comfortable, but every time you do it, her ears don't sit like normal people perk up and bark at the door. It's in between messaging to her ears because they make different movements and forward, back, little. They dance to your tones.
No, they do. My dog stares at me. My dog's addicted to my tones. And the binaural the reason it's binaural is because it's 10 hertz in between two sounds. Richard and I were Skyping or FaceTyping earlier, and you will hear, like, the people I've done radio shows with and helped me with all this, they will hear sometimes 3 or 4 notes, on it. And each of those ones affects a different person. Like when I was on a random, it was like my headache's disappearing. I'm feeling more relaxed. So the different tones, some tones won't match people. Some of them will. I did on my YouTube, one of them I did 5 minutes of low, medium, and high separate ones because different people will resonate to the different sounds.
Do you have a pyramid? Like I've got a crystal pyramid here. And it's,
I bought a Shungai pyramid, have you ever heard of shungite?
Yeah, isn't it black?
Yeah, black, but it's like my friend Gayatri, who draws dragons, when we used to talk to each other, she told me a long time ago to get a shungite. So my son and I each got a shungite bracelet because I have a rock store across the street from me.
I thought it absorbs the energy. I thought that it's all colors because black isn't a color. But I thought shungite was like a healing stone.
It is.
Not?
It's got many levels to it. It's in the mountains, I think, of Tibet. And if you look...
Let me look it up, folks. Hold on. I'll look
yeah,
it up.
you're fun looking it up. And
Go ahead.
so I was going to buy a pyramid, and then I ended up buying a shungite. It's on top of my crystals, you know. But, yeah, they're very powerful, and they're good for healing. And we were told to get them for people that use computers. So my son was standing, you know, like a few feet away from me. His bracelet just broke.
Here's what it says. Now, there are Russian. Now, believe it or not, I was talking last night on LinkedIn to my...
Oh, yeah, they are Russian.
My crystal person in my crystal skulls. His name is Josh, and I'm buying a new one because I got my stimulus check, and most of it took up bills, you know, because I had bills. But anyway, like people don't need to know my business, duh. But shungite meets crystal properties. All I'm saying is I was going to get me, I'm being responsible, but I want to get me one gift, and I've really wanted my crystal ball and my crystal skull, right? But anyway, I may get a black one, too. I'll see if he's got it. Shungite is a black stone with properties helping one who requires assistance in cleansing, healing, purification of the mind, body, and soul. First discovered from a deposit in remote Russia. This carbon-filled stone has a lot to rave about. So I don't, I've always been sold crystals, even in Hawaii. I'd have them from Arkansas, send me a box of like $75 to $150 wholesale. But then I had to, you know, it'd be like right out of the mountain, so I'd have real pretty ones or little pieces. But I've never worked with shungite, but you're the second or third person on my radio show. I'm going to get one.
See, I think that one would. I think that they're really inexpensive. I got my small pyramid for like $12, so it's not like expensive, but they're really powerful. So I think that would help you a lot, you know. And it's also we need the opposite of negative and positive. The crystals are positive because they're white. The shungite, you know, and I've done with black obsidian. I'll put those together with the crystals because you need that balance of male-female or negative-positive.
Well, they use black for Mother Earth as a neutralizer, too, for your spiritual. But and it's also the Muladhara. They call it Muladhara, which is in English your root chakra. So that would be, let me see if I can find it, core foundation of both physical and spiritual evolution, entrenching ourselves in Mother Earth, core foundation, will associate the root chakra, known as the Muladhara. I said it right. Muladhara, but my Indian friends in Sanskrit, Muladhara. I can't say it like
Muladhara.
Muladhara.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, well, it's like you said, it's Indian. It's from Sanskrit.
Healing benefits, and while we are, you know, we talk about certain things, but we are as a group going to start having our own products on our journal. We're going to have a journal, so we'll put amethyst and quartz and shungite and obsidian and all those on our website. But I've got to get my wholesalers back so we can give you the best price possible. But that will be monthly. But we're working as fast as we can. We can't just get it all done. But I do have my guy sending me my pictures from my personal ones, but I'll try to get the best prices because he's already set up to import over in Washington. So, you know, I hope he'll give me the best price. I think with his company, I think I have to pay $5 shipping. But me and Marci and Richard will set all that up on our World Science seminars. Is that what I said? No, what did I say, Richard? World
Science webinars.
There you go.
Webinars, not seminars, webinars, because naturally everything's gone to the web. You know, that's the easy way to remind yourself of it.
On worldsciencewebinars.com, we will set up our shop, but which is also American Communications Online. So that's what we're doing today. But my journal lady is actually your friend. You were right. She's been helping me, Marci. So congratulations on that network person. Yeah, Laura. So
I know.
She went on Slack in Tuesday. This is Wednesday. Oh, gosh, I missed an appointment with her. Ooh, it's so hard because she works, but she says she'll listen to our show. Probably she's listening today, and that might have been her on. No, because she doesn't do Skype. That must have been my guy in Canada. But also, Marci, another Ascension Master showed up from Canada. His name is John Fellows. So I want you to remember John.Fellows and make him a friend on LinkedIn. Most of my people are professionals, and we don't get on Facebook.
I like
much.
This energy.
Good. Yeah, very good person. All right, I'm going to mute because I can talk y'all's ear off, and I don't know if people even care about. But I'm glad you mentioned shungite. I remembered it was black, and it is a stone, folks, and I'll put them in our wholesale package so we can get the best deal. But the more people we have, the more I can order, and the better deals we'll get on those. But we'll have some from Arkansas and Russia. All right, back to you guys. I'm going to mute now. You two handle it.
All right.
You want to hit it, Richard?
Is there any background noise now?
No, I think it's like sometimes when I did my radio show with Sarah Jane, and I would, and you and I have talked about this. There are times there were different sounds coming out, and I'm like, what is coming out? It's like it's people's emotions. So I hear different things coming out through the speakers, and it's very powerful. People may be hearing it on their end, as far as with the tones or the energy. Oh, they're back. They want me to hit some more notes. That's what they do. It's like if Richard and I could finish a conversation, we're good. Because I guess today, things will be a lot calmer now that I've taken care of everything I need to take care of. So I can be on more now, except for the Saturday and Sunday, because I'm working.
Right.
But this one's for you, Richard, but it's for everybody else. It's going to be for the throat chakra. So what they do is they open up the energies, and a lot of times chakra means circle, and the circles or the chakras, I was reading with Chiron, they turn into the portals. So a lot of times the energy is stuck, and a lot of times people will pray, but it's like the masters don't deal with dense energy. So the higher the energy is, the higher the guides you have. So this helps open it up so that once you hit 115 hertzes, either you astral project it with the tones or they come to you. So it's a certain frequency, and there have been stones and there have been cathedrals all around the world that are set up for the 442 hertzes, which are meant to heal us. And also grounding, going barefoot helps us get in rhythm of the earth also. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
One of the angels.
Okay, go ahead.
Go on. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, especially in great cathedrals like, the Notre Dame or, St. Louis Cathedral, places of that nature, the choir center where all the people go in to sing is all set up in a reverberatory response. In other words, it's like it bounces off the walls and projects outwards. And that's probably what's creating the 442 hertz. Because I know that from personal experience when I traveled to France and I went into the Notre Dame over there, you had such a residing peace that just kind of washed over you. It was very calming and very restorative, just in the building itself, nonetheless, with anything else going on.
Excuse me. And I was just reading about the bells in churches.
Right.
And the bells, when they go left and they hit right, they also resonate in our body. So they're all set up for it. So if people listen, there are all kinds of ways to get in tune with that energy or that vibration. The stones, if you pick up a stone and if it's warm in your hand, that's your frequency, because stones have frequencies also. So, like, there were like 10 different shungite pyramids. I felt the one that was the warmest or tingling in my hand. If you hold it with your left hand, it receives it. When you hold crystals and stones in your right hand, it puts the energy out. So
that's interesting. That's interesting, because basically that's when I go over stones, I'll project energy through my right hand, and a stone, of course, that is radiating or alive already or has been kicked into motion, I guess you could say, will feed back energy, bounce back energy to me. And then, of course, when I pick it up in my left hand, and it shows me exactly how energetically alive the stone is, per se. And, of course, when they're very alive, I just say, well, that's another keeper, You just take it home with you. Because, I could spend hours in crystal shops. Goodness me.
I could, too. I have, like, this big wand that's got a pointed crystal at one end. I got it when I worked as a psychic fair that one day, and I've got it at a ball at the other end. And you know, like, something's right for you because your hand won't let go of it. So I held on to this one, and the people that were selling the crystals, that they said they weren't going to bring it out. And then it's just like the warrior, he lifted up, and I have my friend Steve that's a shaman. He's like, dog, I was going to get that. So you will know things that are meant for you. I got to hit the tones.
Go for it.
And then what's going on with my room, it's set up as a triangle or a pyramid, whatever you want to call it. I'm in the middle of it, and I've got all my crystals set up on my right in front of the mirrors where the energies will bounce off of it. Like, I was in the living room one time, and Richard and I were talking, and he goes, I don't feel you're resonating as strong. So I've set up my room as to be like almost like a little crystal cave. Everything is bouncing off of it. So on many levels, like TJ's dog is feeling the vibration. That one was Archangel Raphael. Before I started toning, I would hear the angels singing like this. You feeling something, Richard? I feel you're vibrating.
Yeah, I felt an energetic shift right before you did the tone, and now it's even stronger after you finish the tone. And, of course, I have a very strong working relationship with Archangel Raphael. So, and Archangel Raphael is the keeper of the emerald energy, or the emerald well, you could say. And, of course, when you immerse someone in green energy, of course, the energy itself renews someone and helps them to get past any kind of disease. And so that's why he's called the Archangel of Healing.
Well, that would make sense. Because, like, Shauna, I don't know, like 2-3 weeks ago, because you and I and Shauna and Levin and Laura and everybody else, we're growing. And so we're different, like, day to day, minute by minute, second by second. So Shauna was seeing that green emerald diamond right next to my heart. Right. And then it just, as we constantly change. Okay. I'm watching you, Richard, and I'm watching your heart chakra, and it's like this. Usually we see doors opening, but this is like a door, well, the pathway kind of reminds me of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, where the doors are opening. Well, you know me, I don't usually see past. It's like usually we'll see God knows what, but this one is actually like a gold path. So I think the transition and the alignment of the energy is opening up for you.
Well, that's good. I appreciate that.
I'm just a messenger, you know that.
All
And
things positive, you know?
Oh, I know. Well, and that's why, you know, and I'm going to, whatever my schedules are and my jobs, I'm going to keep two to 4 clear, so that I could still do what I'm doing on the radio shows with you guys and walk around to whatever they need to do. All right, I just breathed out. I don't know if TJ has any opinions on any of this stuff. She's still muted?
Yeah, she can hear us. She's listening. So if you want her to speak or you want to give her the mic, just give her a couple minutes. In other words, say, TJ, you got anything to say? And she'll respond in a couple minutes.
Well, no, they want to do some tones on TJ. They want to do some healing on her.
There she goes.
It's okay. I'm here. I'm just, what I do is I have to keep the studio muted because I don't know what you're going to bring on my lines because you keep my TV on and off.
Well, get ready, TJ, because they're going to...
Well, wait, I got to put everything on mute. Wait. No, I mean, we can hear, but I got to cut all my electronics. All right, I'm going to get off my phone. I'm going to lay it down. I'm scared you'll electrocute me. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, here I go.
No, I mean, I'll see, like, as my meditations, as Richard knows, I will see, like, blue lightning coming out of me, you know, and that's what it is. We are the elements of air, earth, wind, and fire. And so when I work on people, there'll be water, there'll be frozen oceans, there'll be ice, there'll be mud. The air will be tornadoes, hurricanes. The fire is the kundalini, which is usually the last one. And then the earth of the earthquakes. So we do have all these aspects in us. Are you ready, TJ?
Yeah.
Is she still working on this stuff?
I'm here, baby, but what I'm telling you is, when I have to get through talking and I go on mute, then it takes me a while to get back to you because there's a delayed reaction in the studio. And then you're on my cell phone. So we're going through 3 levels: the studio, my laptop, and my cell phone.
Levels we're going to go through, TJ. So,
but I'm right here listening. Okay, I'm sitting right here. Okay, let me wait. I'm going to mute and mute.
Okay. So you've got and Rich and I will get the golden ones, which are really tall beings. The tall white ones are the Amifians. So they don't know who's going to come in, but you've got one of the tall gold beings that they're about a foot behind you, but I'm going to do some tones. And then you've got some heavy energy on your shoulders, this weight you've been carrying. They're going to help dissipate it so that you're not carrying this. All right, so TJ, the pain or some of the pain that you've been having, I'm hearing the screams or the pain, it's releasing out of you so you do not have to.
You got rid of my shoulders, but you left my back. Yeah, my shoulders are fine now. I was hurting all the way down, but do my back. I need you to do the middle part song,
all
whatever
right,
you do.
I'll do you. All right, I'm going to hit a low tone with that one, okay? There's like a metaphoric rock that's moving. There's a high-pierced, painful sound that's coming out of you. Oh! Sorry, I never know what I'm going to do now, but it's like a release. Richard, do you want to jump in on anything you're getting with this?
It's going to sound really bizarre. Like a scene out of the Jetsons with people, with helmets and multicolored, like aquamarine suits with jetpacks flying around TJ's house.
Okay. That sounds interesting. Okay, so you got the Armenians, which is also the tall white beings that people would see. They're going in and they're pulling blockages or strings, whatever you want to call it, out of your will chakra. Your energy's been stuck there, and now the chakra is starting to go clockwise on the energy.
Hold on just a second. Richard.
Yes.
Richard, when you said that, the TV came on, and on CNN, I know they want me, I don't know if that's Floyd, but I've been watching that Floyd, trial. But when it came on, there were blue, they have the world map behind, and there was bluer things, depending on what you're visualizing, were on the back of that television. I was laughing. There it is again. It's the map. It's got a light blue, lavender, and blue. You could say they were jet sets, but what it really is behind two people talking, and in the background it's the world spinning. But you could say it was people with blue jetpacks, but they're all visualized. It's funny. It's hilarious. It's rolling. Okay. It's the world in the background. I just thought that was funny because there was something here visually for me to see when you were talking. All right, back to you guys. But, I'm listening. I'm here. Let's see, we got 30 minutes left to do what you want to do. All right, go ahead. But I'm listening and healing myself. My back feels a lot better. But now what's funny is I don't know what you're doing, but now my shoulders feel better, my lower back, but there's something in between my shoulders and my lower back. So it's so funny because unless you say it, it almost don't leave. It's almost like I got to hear it. Maybe I'm a hearing person. I thought it was visual. I'm going to go
Well,
mute.
we are. We're either audio, visual, or kinesthetic. I'm all three. So a lot of the times I will see, feel, and hear the sounds coming out, or the guys will give visuals, they will give audio, or you will feel the energies. But you got to remember, people think that they're instantly healed, but it's layer upon layer upon layer. So it's like an onion. So you'll release one, and then the next surface will come. And when I do the tones, it doesn't have to do with linear. It has to do with vibration. So something might come out of as a past life. Something might come out of post-traumatic. Or my guys would say, okay, well, we need to work on this. What we just did with you, TJ, is we need to work on her throat, shoulder, and back area. And then a lot of times I will talk for a few minutes to let the energy settle, and then the next thing will surface. And so that's why you're feeling these different sensations that are going on during the healings that's happening. And they're also working.
Yes.
No, I'm listening to them. They're like saying, they're telling TJ that they're proud of her, that I guess in the last week she's worked through some stuff. So they're acknowledging certain things that you've worked through.
Good, because I can't seem to get enough done, and I'm not that kind of person. I was, trying to retire, but they called me back into service, and then Richard, I guess, really got me up and moving again, and then now your stuff, but also that Laura is helping me because she can help me focus,
right.
as a business owner and a business
right.
consultant. And so I've been able, excuse me, to get a couple of videos and a disclaimer on our journal last night, and I can't believe it. She even was shocked between the time she was on working for the the government. Well, you know what I'm saying. So when she said, "You did that like now?" and I was like, "Yeah, I did it for you." She was really impressed. So she'll be a big help.
Yeah, I talked to her yesterday, and she said you guys had a really good time talking, and so it's all good. It's hard to talk to her son.
We didn't talk. It was on. We use Slack inside the company. Most big companies use. Oh, you're not on Slack yet. You haven't had time to incorporate infrastructure yourself on a human 3D form. Richard, get her. Richard's just putting his people together, folks. But Marci was Richard's contact, and we don't do MLMs, but we do honor people as a family, and then when they bring in, and like your clan, your group, your stuff. But today we're doing sounds and stuff, but I have to do crystals and skulls and pyramids too for the World Pyramid Conference up in Chicago and with Bosnia. So we've gone international because helping Dr. Sam Osmanagic in Bosnia, and then we help Australia and UK too. So, and y'all don't know all the stuff we do, but it's okay. All right, back to you guys but every, was I muted?
No.
No,
That's weird. That's weird.
My son for the last 5 minutes or so.
That's what I mean. When we worked with Marci, you been listening to me for the last 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. That's very strange because
your phones are strange.
Yeah, because it showed on.
You know why? Because you're strange. They've been around you too long. See, that's what it is. They picked up weird, strange habits.
I'm glad you reminded me. I should take, try to go out and get more bang for the buck to get the best phone, because so many of our young people and people are wanting to run their whole company from their phone and with push buttons and apps. And see, I'm old school developer, and everybody wants to work on Python and C++, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know how we're going to do this, but folks, we are going to have virtual teaching classes if you're interested. And so the few basics, just like I promote on YouTube, if I do a few little things free like I always have, but what it is we want to be able to have a really good meeting once a year and bring everybody, but we're going to have to pay a venue. So we're going to have a nonprofit, or that's what we say, but we're learning a spiritual center, which we've already got set up, and a nonprofit number may be easier. But that girl, Laura, that I was just talking about, is going to help me figure out how we can all save money the best way. And with Richard and Marci and me and her and Gigi right now is the main event, so to speak. But I've got a whole bunch of older people that have come to me wanting me to help them with their, not only their virtuals, but their in person again, which I'm really shocked. So we're talking about the Pyramid Conference in Global Pyramid in Chicago again, and it's her third one, Marta Thomas. So Marta, I'm mentioning it on the Theosophy Ascension age, but she likes me to promote pyramids because her writers are all about, Marci, you'll fit in real good. These are all sound people and use pyramids and inside, you know what I mean? You'll fit really good with all these people. And you'll probably like listening to them.
Teacher, one of the things that another person that I cleared up their energy to channel, and my Bathsheba lifetime, they said I was to bring in the gold energy, but also he had picked up that I had built the pyramid that's in, or I was into the angles, or something like that. The crystal pyramid that's now at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, I guess where Atlantis was.
Well,
so I've always had
all of those. Yeah, we've got them all over depending on who you talk to, because it depends on the shard of truth in their past lineage or in their DNA.
like dogs know how to turn around, or like my dog creeps up to the water bowl. People, when they've been past life regressors or they're back in incarnations, they will have pieces they may not know with the veil down because they're given another chance.
Right.
But I've been very much, it's on my YouTube. I want you to look at some of them, Marci, because there's good intel on them for you. Open source intelligence.
Yeah, send them to me in my email.
Well, it's there's too many of them, but it's Psychic Channel Network because Richard's doing the ACO club for what he's building with me. And we're trying to make it easy, but even my next door neighbor lives right next door to me and runs our cleaning business. And he just moved over from Fort Walton here, and now he wants to move to Los Angeles and write music, which he writes music here. But it's really hard right now because everybody's my friends, and I want to help everybody, and everybody is getting in this creative stuff. So we've got to put them. I'm trying to, bring down to a journal, or at least. It's really hard. So that Psychic Channel Network was what Suzanne in California, and then Uncle Jack with Ace Folklife, and her husband does artwork and gets like $5,000 a piece. He did L.A. during 2020. They show up and they showed the drumming circle, and he got to paint that.
Okay.
And he gets $5K a picture for the big cities. But all this is all one thing to me. When you take it off planet, we're working universally. So what we're doing is when we bring people here to mix in the DNAs and get the best of the best. But at one time we actually worked for so many million years that what happened is we worked out where we got rid of the emotions, sort of like a Star Trek, the guy, the Spock. But what happened is once we got out there in the other universes, we found some guys. We had it great for a few million years, but you mentioned Atlantis, so that triggered me. But when that was before, and we had Mu, and everything was one piece of land, and it separated and all that. And then depending on what cycle, but the Yugas, and it was 25,900, right? But anyway, the whole long story short is we found out that some of us here in the universe, each level, we have to train some. Some we have to train in communication. Some we have to trace as spiritual warriors, even though we don't want to be. And see, they didn't want to be, the ones that trained me and my husband and the ones on this planet, because they didn't want to, hurt people or kill people. They didn't believe in it, just like Ascension Masters don't believe in it. But the way it was, one of the universes was set up, there was a whole bunch of them like Worf, but they believed, and that's why that guy that did all those, right, he was tapped into the truth. The Ennead 9, which I work with, and so that's the Worf group. They do it with honor, but they're, what are those called? Anyway, I'm going to get way off track. But anyway, those things are real out there, and so you're probably working. Yeah, but see, you're in communication because of your sound and vibrations, right? But we have to be able, here's the key. It doesn't matter what's out there if the people here are blending their various DNAs, like the dogs turn, but we're upping them, and we're opening up a lot of their other DNA that we used to call junk DNA, right? Not in our group, but in a lot of John Q. Public, they kept them down, and they didn't want people to know a lot of the chakra balancing and how the fluid goes up through your spinal cord up into your brain, and how the Christed fluid is around the third eye and all that. Anyway, folks, we're going to teach all that. I didn't learn all this instantly. I had to have a lot of lifetimes and work with a lot of people off planet to learn what I know. But I'm just saying it takes a lot. So, that's why I'm going to do the best I can. But this is going to be for Ascension Master Roundtable. So we're going to work mostly on Theosophy. And I got some more, fellow Ascension Masters that write books like I do on Ascension. But I welcome any of my Ascension authors out there, and Marci and Richard. We can still have a Saturday Paranormal for all those. I used to book 5 years in advance all those events, and then we did them in Knoxville, Tennessee. CMA, IBMA, I did the Bluegrass events, and then I did the paranormal events between Knoxville and what's the lady? Oh, they just had her on CMA. Coat of Many Colors. Oh, what's her name? Dolly Parton. Dolly does her stuff in Dollywood, right? But over in there, we had a beautiful castle-looking event venue, you know, so the hospitality, and then you block off the rooms for your different groups. But we're not as big as Star Trek yet members or Comic-Con, but Richard's going to build, you know, a new group. But Marci, I'm really getting that you need to help us with the ACE Metaphysical Institute Sound, Vibration, and the Pyramid Conference, too. So we'll talk later about that.
Like I said, well, TJ, everything is calmed down now. I got my car back. I am starting a new job. They do want me to work with a client, but I'm going to, I could, at least with this, I could set out my own hours on what's going on. So I work like with the one client on Mondays and Tuesdays, which we're not on Mondays and Tuesdays. So it's all good. The main ones are, it's like the 3:30 to 9:30 on weekends. So it's good. I've got all this extra time I've got to kill now.
All right. Well, what we'll do is on these Wednesdays is we'll book this roundtable for different things that we can help different groups with. I sent Richard the books, like with Dr. Rick Allen Miller. That's not all of them. Those are just certain topics, and then I'm putting them on YouTube. Right. But the quickest way you can tell people is to just see the topics in the YouTubes if they want to be involved, and then go sign up on Patreon.com, because I talked to some big powers that be that helped me, but they said, yeah, just as if they're individuals, just send them, because we work at, you know, individual, and then we work with business to business, and then we work domestic in this North American continent, which for a long time they'd only let me work while my husband was alive because they couldn't protect us out of country, only domestic. Wow. But because I've been working with that Samus Monagic and Marta Thomas at the Bosnian, and then in India, I have joined India and Bosnia and Australia. So we're going international now. But it's a big jump, but it's really not. But it's just in cyberspace culture, folks. But I had a friend of mine that promoted Ankara Watts, right? So it's sort of like looking at Survivor, but we're just groups that have events that promote ancient wisdom and new thought teachings, or ancient culture, or World Information Network. And we have the big one in Ohio and Nashville, too. And anyways, it's different names, but unless you've been doing events, you don't know the different, you know, names. But there's all kinds out there. So, Marci, you'll just, if you want to get involved, just let Richard know. But, you know, Wednesdays is fine for you, too. And it'd be great if I could just produce it and plug in what groups we're working in, and we can cover the topics. I do want that guy to come if we can get him from Canada, that one, John Fellows. So look him up on LinkedIn, john.fellows@gmail.com. Marci, if you have a list.
All right, let's get back to the point here. Don't be advertising people's personal information, okay? He's been reached out to already. All right, he knows it. Thank you.
I don't know, Richard.
Well, she was sharing a great deal of very positive information, you know, because naturally pyramids have been part of Atlantis, and, of course, more recently Egypt. And then, of course, you know, there's all kinds of different crystals that have been formed into them, just, you know, and then, of course, there was the Golden Pyramid, which was a healing chamber back in Atlantis. And there was, you know, pyramids have been around for a very, very long time.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, it would be nice to connect with some pyramid people. I haven't connected with any pyramid people probably since the 80s, if then. Anyway. So, yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's all coming together, but there's lots. It's like we're putting together a mega puzzle, and, you know, there's all kinds of different pieces that fit into different locations and different parameters and different affiliates and associates and all this kind of good stuff. And some of them have turned into mega groups, and others have kind of spun down to just, you know, a small frequency, and then others, you know, continue rising and continue rising and continue rising. But yes, I mean, Ascension, of course, is the topic, and of course, tones help in that synthesis in regards to releasing old energy, blocked energy, onion peels or onion skin that is no longer, that's become clogging of the chakras and everything else, and gotten in the way. And like you said, as you like to polarize it, it's carbon-based energy, and it just needs to go because, we're far beyond just purely being carbon-based beings anymore. We're so much farther along than that. And so, you just release the carbon energy and replace it with a higher syntax, vibration, and frequency, and then in turn, that in turn, of course, like you said, works on the emotional, and then, of course, the emotional in turn releases, and then it works on the mental, and then eventually it works on the spiritual. And then, of course, when you get into a harmony or harmonic self, basically that's when all of your chakras are in alignment, and yes, they actually project their energy outward, probably about 10 or 20 feet, and they actually create a portal similar to that which was kind of hyphenated on that show you had been watching recently.
Nina?
No, the other one, Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap. Yeah.
Yes, because that was a focus of portals, is all that was. I mean, They would put it in a mathematical equation, and basically the equation would hone in and bring to focus a very pinpoint focus of a large amount of energy in a very small circle of energy, and then in turn it created a portal, and that's the portal through which he would slip through time. And that's basically the way in which time travelers actually work, in this dimension anyway. Now, I mean, when you go outside of this dimension, then of course you can go anywhere, anytime, anyhow, because, time becomes circular instead of just in a line like it is here.
Well, and our past and our present and our future are all working simultaneously. So as we work out our past, we're actually working on our future, or we could ask our future selves to come to us and go in alignment and ask. Mine has come in a couple of times right when I was going through all that stuff, and then now I'm back to being realigned. My energy is making sounds. My crystals are making sounds. And everything is being in tune, and everything is like an orchestra. When one part of our body is out of tune, that's a disease. So I
need to tell you this.
What, TJ?
The world, Mother Planet Earth, has her big crystals. I used to could visualize, and before we had the internet, and I would see them, but nobody could prove it to me. They'd say, "How do you know?" I was like, "Well, I can see them, but I don't know how I did that." So I would just tell people, I guess because I'm a life after life, or a woman that's died and come back, and now in 2015. So I don't know how I saw things before other people did and could prove it, but those are huge. Some of them down in Mexico, they got it inside the caverns, but they have been keeping all those crystals for all these, as long as Earth's been here. She's been recording everything on those crystals inside her core. And that's the honest truth. That's why these, we have them in our watches and all those things. But he mentioned time travel. Now, we have a group of time travelers in Aricop. And then Friday, Richard, if you'd like to help interview Ken, coming on with his book, Ken's Moon. I've got it here, folks. But he's one of our ACO directors, the big one for the ACO International as a 5-star commander. I'm Cosmos Ambassador, and then he has a badge at the highest level. But Richard, now on one of his beings, he's a walk-in. So I'm sure Richard, now he's a little older, folks. So Marci, you could come Friday if you're here, but I can't put very many people on because he's hard of hearing, and he also has a lot to say. So I was going to just let Richard sort of interview him Friday. The same time, folks. Just telling you, but Richard works. Yeah, because you get to know. Yeah, he's a big shot in the. He helped Grumman, and he used to train people like on the equipment.
All right.
When I was
Again,
at NASA.
Not too much personal information. All right.
Oh,
we'll get to it when we see him Friday. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to mute. Y'all close it out. Y'all got, I think, 10 minutes. I can't see. I don't have my glasses on. Anyway, watch the clock. Okay, bye.
Right, it's 50. Bye. So, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, We can go on my LinkedIn under Marci Kosich or under my Facebook. I have two of them, Marci Ann McLean, and Marci Kosich is one of my groups. My book is Theta with the acronym of T for Tarot, H healing, E energy, T tones, and A ascension. And it's on Amazon if you guys want to look at my book. And Richard's in my spiritual journey. And it's like if you want to get a hold of me at Gmail, marcikosich2@gmail.com. And if you want to hit it, Richard, go right ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, like yourself, you can find me on LinkedIn. I think I'm Richard P. Knight over there. I'm also Richard Knight, which has got the symbology of the Archangel Michael holding a blazing sword pointed down to the earth in front of him on my profile. But I also have a regular 3D form picture of myself within my profile self so that, old friends and family can find me there. And in addition, you can reach out to me either through, I have two different Gmail accounts. One is, let's see here. Well, anyway, the easy one is RT, my initials, Richard Thomas, RT, and then my last name, Knight, Knight, 35@gmail.com. And then you can also find me at Spirituality and Tranquility, and it's all spelled out lowercase letters, and that's also at gmail.com. So you can see why I gave you the easy one first. I am in the process of producing books, and of course we are here on the radio, at least for the moment, Wednesdays, most likely Thursdays, Fridays, possibly Saturdays, and definitely Sundays. So at the very least Wednesdays and Sundays, and at the max probably 5 days a week or 5 nights a week. And it would be 2 to 4 Central Time, 5 to 7 Eastern Time, and no, wait a minute. Have I got it right? No. 2 to 4 Pacific Time, 4 to 6 Central Time, and 5 to 7 Eastern. There we go. Now I've got the time zones correct. And, of course, we are the ACO Association, the ACO Club. We have a lot of acronyms for ACO, Allied Command, American Communications Online, and we have a very large umbrella of a lot of different groups and a lot of different interests. And if you want to become a member, we are restructuring and re-going over as to what benefits are acquired at each membership level. You can join for $2 a month on patreon.com, and then in turn, decide what kind of a volunteer you wish to be. If you happen to be an author, you're welcome to join our ACE Folklife Club. If you happen to be into journalism, you can get into ACIR, which is American. Let's see. TJ's got them all memorized a whole lot better than I do. But anyway, we have a whole bunch of acronyms, and they're all related and all fall under the umbrella of the American Communications Online umbrella, which is ACO.com or ACOassociates.com. TJ, you want to come in and speak in another minute or two?
I thought you did a pretty good job. You've never helped put some of our associations together. Pretty good job considering, you're just honorary and starting and trying to learn. But, yeah, people, you can see his picture on 2 or 3. If I get your permission, I can put you on our YouTubes for what you do.
Oh, yeah,
but that's what we do. We make visibility for people. And but right now, I've got so much on my plate internationally and trying to do that in-person global pyramid thing. And what else are we doing? Oh, we're doing some virtual. And then I'm having to set up that World Science Plus. See, I'm having to go back to all these seminars with Google and Microsoft myself to update myself. But any of you are invited. But Richard's learning how to go in and help me at the big level with Laura. But now, if you all you have to do, anybody, is let Richard know, because we have to coordinate all this before we get you in the classes. So some of you people, if you want to be a team leader, we're setting up the teams now. But right now I've got to work on the journal. So if any of you are writers on Ascension, or if you want to see one of your companies or your personal psychic or whatever you do, let Richard and Marci know too, because we're all going to, we just need some leaders in the various levels and teams by colors and universally. But Ascension Masters are telling us what to do. And the Ascended Masters, of course, tell the Ascension Masters what to do. And then I've recently learned that God tells the angels what to do, too. So I found that out firsthand.
Always.
Richard found out. I got up at 7 the other morning. He says, "Do you want to mention that on the radio?" So since he gave me back some
No, I think we'll keep that personal for right now until we determine if we want to go public with it or not.
I think that should be Sunday, because that
should be Sunday, yes.
Because I hadn't even got to look at it. What it is, folks, is I'm a channeler, but I didn't know. I hadn't done it in 30 or 40 years. But all of a sudden I can do automatic writing again, so that's good, right? Because that's how I used to do a lot of books. Do you do automatic writing, Marci? You know what it is,
Yeah, I
right?
do automatic writings. I do automatic drawings. I do a lot of
go ahead.
sacred geometry. Well, one of the first things is what automatic writing is when I was like 17, there was a ghost in the house, and the ghost didn't say that they liked the person that lived in the house before. I was like 17, and the ghost was named Abida. And then my grandfather came to me and told me I was meant to be a psychic. My father's side is like Yugoslavian, so I don't know with all that culture stuff. So I've been doing automatic drawings and automatic writings for years.
Okay, well, folks, I do ACO event managers, and what happened is on Sunday, I hadn't been out of the house for like 2 years, but I went out and saw all the cars everywhere because I don't usually go to the store, but we still have to wear masks here in Gulf Breeze, Florida, but some of them didn't. But when you go in, maybe, I don't even know, but I know some of them you have to have a mask to go in, like Winn-Dixie, the grocery store. So, but just to let you know, all of a sudden, it was like the world was back open on Easter. So there were cars everywhere. So I told Richard, what happened?
It's what I got in the channeling with Yeshua. It's a lot of rebirth. That's what the Easter's all about. And so renewal.
On that. So what's happened is several people from the old days are all wanting to start their companies, or they're all entrepreneurs, or they're most of them are in my spiritual center. So it's free social media and social groups on Facebook or LinkedIn. And now they're all contacting me to help them gear up their, seminars and events. So we have ACO event managers for all of those, but we'll get you involved. ACO event managers, Marci, if you have any friends like Laura. All right, Richard, back to you, and then we'll be off in about 40 seconds, and we can meet y'all Sunday. Richard, 4 to 6 here, okay, 5 to 7.
No, we're coming Friday, remember? We're meeting back Friday, unless you want to do psychic readings tomorrow night, which tomorrow's Thursday. That's up to you.
Oh, let's skip. That's too much because I got a lot of paperwork to get these. I got to get that journal going, and I got 2 meetings tomorrow.
Well, share some with me, and I can help you. That's all I can say,
Well,
I can't
want you
help
to run
if I'm
the
not
board.
informed.
If you'll learn to run the board.
Well, I want to do that. Yeah, I want to do that, too. But anyway, this is all side talk.
All right, Friday. All right, that's right. Friday is UFO Association, Allied Command Organization. So we'll do that. So Allied Command, 5 to 7, and it's Richard Knight and Ralph Kennedy Johnston with me, and I will introduce Ken, and we'll do the best we can at a little round table with Ken. But Ken is going to get to know Richard and Richard Ken, and then Marci will gradually all the people in the groups. But Marci, if you want to represent a group, Richard, you and her talk about that before Friday, what team she's going to lead in after y'all listen to today's show. Everybody, this is going to be on Blog Talk Radio. It'll be on YouTube. You can listen to it. You can listen to it on Spotify, anywhere podcasts pretty much. So thank you, Marci and Richard, for doing a great show today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Glad I got to come on.
It's good information for people. That's why we're doing it, folks. It's educational entertainment. People go, I don't know how educational it is. But a lot of people don't know what we're doing.
If you miss us while we're live, by all means, reach out to TJ Morris, TJ, MORRIS, ET, as an extraterrestrial, radio.com. And you'll find all of our archived shows from previous events or previous situations, topics, discussions, all that good stuff. It's all there for you. And like Theresa was explaining, that she's got hundreds of YouTubes, and I don't even know how many books all over Amazon. But anyway, on the Ascension and exactly. So they ain't no telling. But anyway, she's got her own library. I'll put it that way, for you to peruse. And the same is also now come up in YouTube as well. She's probably got her own YouTube. Well, not only should she have her YouTube channel, but if she don't, she's at least put enough out there that it would equate to a YouTube channel and then some, probably.
Oh, I've got 20 to 100 YouTube channels. So
my goodness.
Yeah, I'm sure if I go count them all, that's at least 100. But y'all go look at it, because, see, once you get a Gmail account or Yahoo or whatever, you just go on YouTube. But Gmail, and then on the top right, you can start your own YouTube channel. So I encourage everybody to get out there and put stuff on your YouTube. Now, Facebook is really big, but most of my people in Patreon and YouTube ask them to flip over off of Facebook and come into the YouTube studio, just like I did Marci, wanting her to come into Blog Talk studio, because then I can see you and control the board better. And we're going to teach Richard to do that pretty soon.
All right.
So love and light, everybody. So Friday,
Yes, love and light.
Friday is UFO Association and Alien Contact Org.
Thank you, Richard and Marci. See y'all Friday, all right? Thank you.
All right, sounds great. Thank you. Love and light.
Awesome.